Veteran Salute is sponsored by the Devon James Injury Lawyers.
Welcome back. Bradley Bryant grew up in Wichita. He graduated from West High School and then joined the Air Force.
For 3 decades after that, he served in the Wichita Police Department. Jason Lamb shares his story in this week's Veteran Salute.
Bradley "Bubs" Bryant says he really had no desire to join the military. He was at a drive-in movie with his girlfriend when he realized his draft number was up next in the lottery. So instead of waiting for a call and being told to report, Bryant took matters into his own hands.
So I went down to the Air Force recruiter and I said, hey, I need to be in the Air Force here, so what can you give me? And he said, well, we don't have much to choose from. You can be a cop, a cook, or a medic. Needles scared me, so I didn't want to be a medic. I thought, being a cook? Oh, I don't think that's what I want to do. So I said, I'll take the cop.
Bryant went through Air Force basic training and Air Police training before being sent to his first assignment at a small Air Force base in the mountains east of San Diego called Mount Laguna. After 2 years there, Bryant was assigned to Zweibrücken, which is right on the border between France and Germany. He was promoted to Staff Sergeant, and 9 months later, he was on his way to Carswell Air Force Base in Fort Worth.
Carswell was a Strategic Air Command base. It had 6 bombers, B-52s, and 4 tankers, KC-135s, on standby 24 hours a day. They were always ready. The crews were always on standby, waiting in the crew area, and we were out guarding the things.
Bryant was initially assigned to an off-base nuclear security site and storage area.
We had 14, I think it was 14, bunkers full of nuclear weapons that we had to guard.
One day when he was in training,
I'm sitting there one day and I'm looking at some stuff, and the executive officer and another guy come in, and they both got field manuals, a whole stack of them, and they just set them down on my desk, and I said, what's this? And the executive officer said, you've got 30 days to make a combat skills and terrorist threat training course. I said, what?
So Bryant designed a week-long combat skills training course to be taught to 700 trainees over 3 years. Bryant says after, quote, playing Army man for 3 years, he and his wife moved back home, and he applied to the Wichita Police Department.
And I'll be real honest, the first night on the street scared me to death, because I said, everybody's looking at me. What are the, you know.
He was assigned to the smallest beat in the city and worked out of East Patrol for 11 years. In 1990, Bryant was promoted to City Hall, where he worked as a detective and was also assigned to homicide.
And I spent about 2.5 years in homicide working over there. And then I went down to work in what they call checks, frauds, and forgeries, which is better known now as financial crimes.
Bryant is also a founding member of the Kansas Association of Hostage Negotiators. He was a crisis negotiator for 22 years until he retired after 32 years on the police force.
Now, I don't know how many negotiations I did, but I can tell you it had to be in the many hundreds over the years, 22 years that I did it.
Bryant also published several books of his own poetry. The poems were intended to help survivors of family members of murder victims. He says the poems also helped him deal with the pain of being there with the victims and not being able to do anything to help them. Here for you, Jason Lamb, KSN News 3.
On behalf of Devon James Injury Lawyers, we're honored to recognize this week's veteran who served our country in the United States Air Force, Bradley Bryant. Thank you for your service.
Mr. Bryant, we're very excited to give you a check for $500. On behalf of all of Kansas, thank you for your service.
Veteran Salute is sponsored by the Devon James Injury Lawyers.